Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Orlando. My name is Marty Haney. With me in today's service are our worship leader, Dr. Laura McGuire, our director of music, Aubrey Connelly-Candelario, and our accompanist, Danny Monzon-Viejas, and the Gray family. Dr. Laura McGuire is an internationally recognized consultant, survivor, researcher, seminarian, and author of the books Creating Cultures of Consent and the Sexual Misconduct Prevention Guidebook, Consent and Conduct for Higher Education Campuses. They were named one of the 2022 Champions of Pride by The Advocate magazine and are regularly featured in media outlets for their expertise and approachability. They are currently earning their Masters of Divinity at Earlham Seminary, where they're studying the intersections of Judaism, trauma-informed care, and restorative justice in faith settings. This Wednesday, Reverend Margalie and Judith Stein-Farrall will offer all an opportunity to watch and listen to Berry Street Essay, presented at General Assembly this past June. You will then be part of a facilitated discussion about its meaning, about the work we must do as Unitarian Universalists to stand up and show up. It will inform you and inspire you as we get ready for next weekend for the Pride Parade and our Showing Up rally. Please join them Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. for a light dinner and at 6:30 for the presentation in the assembly room and gathering space. We welcome all who join us as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, which draws us into a community of justice seekers with a commitment to lifelong spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. You are welcome here regardless of your color, national origin, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, whether or not you can talk first thing Sunday morning, economic status, or religious background. We welcome you. For more information about our congregation and announcements, go to orlandouu.org or email info@orlandouu.org. Now, I'd like to welcome for a couple of special announcements, Wendy Darrow, and then the president of our congregation, Paul Knight.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wendy Darrow, and I'm here to give an update about our little free library. It's now 5 months old. I hope you've all visited it, but if you haven't, I hope you will after this announcement. You'll remember that it's off the parking lot right near our garden. And it's completely waterproof and beautifully built by our own Mike McCleskey. We have had wonderful interest and turnover in books, both children's books and adult books. We have 2 separate sections there. We appreciate continued donations of books for both children and adults. And we certainly welcome and encourage banned books. Yeah. The way it works, in case you need a little reminder, you take a book, read a book, and share a book. And that means you might take a book, you might hold on to it, and share a different book. back in the library. Or you might read a book and put the same book back in the little free library. Now, donations can be made in Gore Hall. When you go in the main entrance, right on the left, we have a box, and there's a sign in it that says Donations for Little Free Library. We have a designated shelf in the volunteer room, or if there's space, you can put your donations right directly in the library in either section. Feel free to email me with any questions you might have, or I'll be in Gore Hall after the service, so you could catch me there. But please enjoy our little free library. Thank you.
There's no script. Hey everybody, Paul here. Unfortunately, we still have not had an update from the Pride Parade organizers with regard to our exact spot in the parade. Normally by now we actually have a cross street or a section where we're going to be. But in the news feed this week and on the slides, yeah, there you go. One more. The plan is to meet out off of North Orange Avenue for decorating. To meet out at North Orange Avenue for decorating at 2 p.m. And to socialize and to get ready for the parade. And then if you're just going to be walking, then you can meet around 3:30. We've got, right now, I think 27 folks signed up from Triple U. So we need to get a bunch of us signed up. There's a QR code that will be up there. And then we plan on being back by 5:30 here to undecorate the truck and the trailer. So that's all I've got. I'm just waiting for more information from them to say exactly where we're going to be to meet up on Saturday at 2 p.m. See y'all there.
And today in the Gore Hall foyer from 11:45 until 12:30, we have conversations with the minister. This is a time for casual conversations with Reverend Margalee, friends and newcomers. Bring your questions, share your thoughts, meet other seekers. For some, this may be a first step towards church membership. For others, it's just a chance to meet Reverend Margalee and other 1U friends. No matter, all are welcome. This is hosted by the membership team on the third Sunday of each month as possible. And today, our children will go to activities when we sing them out after the time for all ages. The nursery will be open until noon. All other announcements, you can see we are a very busy church. All other announcements are on slides before and after the service and have links in the weekly update and on our website. If you would like to follow along with this service, please use the QR code. Please use the QR code shown in the monitor and in the pews in front of you. Thank you again for being here in person and online to worship with us today.
Hello, my name is Sarah Gray, and my family is here to light the chalice. Please say the words with me as we light the chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 298, Wake Now My Senses. The words are up on the screen.
Receiving Good morning, friends. Good morning. So our call to worship today is a poem by Langston Hughes called Still Here. I have been scarred and battered, my hopes the wind unscattered. Snow has freezed me, sun has baked me. Looks like between them, they each tried to make me stop laughing, stop loving, stop living. But I don't care. I'm still here. Let us now take a moment to greet one another. Can we have all of the young people and the young at heart come join me for a story this morning? Come on down. I love the enthusiasm. Good morning, everyone. So, today we have a story that's really simple but really beautiful. It's called How Mamas Love Their Babies. It's by Juniper Fitzgerald. And it has some really beautiful inclusive pictures and story with us. And one of the things that I always want to point out is mamas can be all kinds of people in our life. It doesn't mean our biological mother, it doesn't mean someone assigned female at birth, right? It can be all different people who fill that nurturing role. Babies love mamas, and mamas love babies. How do mamas love their babies? Many different ways. Mamas use their bodies to care for their babies in so many ways. See them doing their hair, getting them dressed. Mamas care for their babies even before their babies are born. Some mamas care for their babies inside their own bodies. Mamas also do a lot of things to care for their babies once the babies are born, including things like protesting. Has anyone ever been to a protest? Awesome. It's a way that your mamas can love you. Some mamas stay home with their babies all day long, and it is hard work. You can see, it's hard work. And some mamas do other kinds of work to care for their babies. They use their bodies in different ways. Some mamas use their arms to clean and other people's houses. Their work helps their babies to grow. Some mamas use their heads to make big ideas. Their work helps their babies to thrive. Some mamas use their hands to till the green land. Their work helps their babies bloom. And some mamas use their eyes to fly planes all around the earth. Their work helps their babies dream big. Some mamas do work that needs special clothing, like uniforms. Some people call these special clothes uniforms. Some uniforms are big and baggy, and others are small and tight, like a scuba diver's is. Some uniforms even have special shoes. Some mamas dance all night long in special shoes, and it is hard work. Mamas who dance just like mamas who clean and think and farm and fly use their whole bodies to care for their babies. Mamas who dance just like other mamas have bodies that love their babies. Mamas have arms for hugging and heads for telling bedtime stories. I still love bedtime stories. You never outgrow them. And hands for making good things to eat, and eyelashes for butterfly kisses. Mamas who stay home and mamas who dance and mamas who clean and think and farm and fly are often tired at the end of a long day. Mamas work hard to care for their babies, all the different roles. What are the special ways that your mama cares for you? Anyone have anything they want to share? Yes. Oh, I love it. Setting up therapy appointments. Yes, that's a wonderful way to love our babies. Yes. Yeah, supporting the way we cope, giving you things that keep you emotionally regulated and feeling good. That's huge love. Yes. Supports you for who you are. Yes. I think that's one of the basic expressions of love. And I see another hand? Over here, yes. Oh, packing lunches, yes. And I'm sure they're delicious too, right? You can taste that love in the food. Thank you all so much. We'll now sing everyone out.
Yes, let's sing our children out to their activities through the center.
Good morning. I'm Andy Berry from your Board of Trustees. We invite you now to the practice of generosity. It's one of our spiritual values which sustains the life and ministries of our church community. Let's be grateful for the opportunity to give, for it is our privilege to be able to do so. And let us be grateful for our needs, for they give us the opportunity to practice receiving. Today's full collection will go to the ministries of this congregation. You may also support your Share the Plate partner for the month of October, which has been the Zebra Youth, by going to their website and donating to the Zebra Youth. Zebra Youth is a network of organizations which provides services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and all LGBTQ plus youth ages 13 through 24. The offering will now be collected, and note that you can also give online using the link.
Till there is
Let us joyfully receive what is offered here today in the spirit of gratitude and fellowship.
Hello, I'm Linnea Nelson. I'm the worship associate for today. And this is our time we set aside for deep sharing of our hearts and for prayer and meditation. If you have a sorrow that you need witnessed or help with, or have a joy that you wish to share, please contribute to our collective sharing of joys and sorrows to be read each Sunday during worship. You can send an email to joysandsorrows@orlandouu.org during the week, or if you're attending in person, you can fill out a card at the registration table and hand it to an usher before the start of service. And after the meditation, we will call you forward to participate in our candle lighting ritual. Bring your joys and your sorrows as we come together. Come as you are. Your whole self is welcome in this sacred place that we are creating together. And today's flowers are provided by Wendy Darrow and are in celebration of our church's little free library located near the vegetable garden. And Charlotte Kendall shares, tomorrow I will have back surgery, followed by a week of rehab. I welcome your prayers and best energies. I also hope to have visitors in rehab. The care team will know where I am. And Judy Lovett shares, on Tuesday, October 17th, Buddy will undergo a heart procedure at Duke University to replace his pulmonary valve. Positive thoughts and prayers would be appreciated. Also recovering is Bev Allig, who is recovering at home and is very grateful for the cards and words of support given to her by our church community because of her recent knee surgery. And another sadness, Bob Patton was hospitalized earlier this week at ORMC Care with a convergence of difficulties and is now at Encompass Rehab Hospital in Altamonte Springs. Anne says he's improving and the boot camp-like physical therapy program should make him a new man within a couple of weeks. Maybe we should all go, huh? Bob celebrates his birthday today, so let's wish him well. And they are grateful for prayers and love, and Anne also shares that the cards have been most welcome and calls to her cell phone are also welcome. And a bit of very good news, Colin turned 6 yesterday. Need to have a little good news here. And from the larger community, as we continue to hold Orlando families in love, our communities with care, and the world with our compassion by acting for justice in all the small and large ways that will move the arc of justice. We also focus our love on the Middle East, where so many have lost their lives in the unimaginable strife and warfare. And for this, I offer this poem by Jacaren Olaoya with her permission. I believe she wrote this week. Beloved, the world is on fire and kindling, waiting in places sacred. But you and your love, full of hope and ready for change. You are water, free to flow, to extinguish, to cover, and heal. Don't give up. The world is thirsty. There is no substitute. It feels impossible, and it is alone together. We are an ocean crashing and mending in time. Let us pause to hold humanity in love, those who have died, those who love them, and those who continue to live in fear. and for all the joys and sorrows of this community shared today, and for those held close to our hearts. Let's pray, let's celebrate, and send each other healing energy. And as we turn to the theme of this service, of knowing and caring deeply for all who have been scarred by domestic violence, I share with you another poem, also written by Jacaren Olaoya, who has also been a beloved guest preacher here at 1U. Please settle in to take in her words and acknowledge your own scars as you sit here together, knowing that you are amongst loving friends and congregants holding this space with you. Scars by Jacaren Olaoya. Scars are proof that life has moved forward, has either hurt or healed or changed. There is strength there in the space between where the skin knits itself together. The power of what we can't see easily gives us strength we didn't know we had. There is beauty there where the healing happens. It seems angry like fire, but it is life, eager to be repaired. There is no brokenness, though fragile. Our skinny is strong enough to break only under extreme pressure, and we are mostly okay after. Scars don't take away from or make us less. It's okay to be afraid to show them. But know you will always be worthy and free to be whole, no matter how many scars grace your body, in service to who you are. So I'd like to invite Sarah forward, who is going to be handing out the candles today, as we invite all of you to come forward and light a candle of remembrance, loving kindness, or hope.
Hello again. So when I was planning this sermon, I could not have known how heavy this week would be for the world. And so a very heavy sermon on top of a very heavy global week is a lot. So I want to remind everyone to take care of themselves. We will be discussing domestic violence and abuse. Please take breaks as you need. And if you or anyone you know would like additional resources, support, or conversation afterwards, please connect with me or one of the other members of the staff. A question. How many people regularly have dreams when they sleep at night? Not everybody does. Okay, you're all dreamers. Me too. I dream almost every night. I can remember my dreams. Anyone have lucid dreams where you know you're in a dream? Yeah, awesome. Those are intense dreams though, very intense. And how many of us who have those regular dreams often have dreams that are really upsetting? So frustrating, but very common. A common theme in nightmares and scary dreams is that we're being chased by something. And if we're being chased, oftentimes in that dream, we are asking for help, right? This is a common thing. Psychologists have even studied it. We are screaming and yelling, and all of the people in the dream are just kind of staring at us silently, or they won't turn towards us. Or we have a phone, and the phone won't work, or something is going on where we are putting out there our need. And the most terrifying part of the dream is the lack of response. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I am a survivor of domestic violence. It is a time when we set aside a moment to pause and remember those who currently live in abusive homes, often with people they both love and fear the most. Those who have already survived this trauma and gotten out, as well as the many who have not and will not. For so many of us who have survived this kind of trauma, this nightmare of begging for help, of being afraid but finding only dead eyes and silence and turned backs, as we plead for help so desperately, is incredibly common and relatable. Domestic violence is so familiar, yet it is the form of abuse that is often the least likely to be supported within community, both those of common faith and belief and secular ones. Oftentimes, this struggle to support the person coming forward is because we just can't conceive that this can be true, particularly if we know the party who is causing the harm. In movies and on television, the abuser is dark and foreboding. Maybe they charm you for an episode or two, but then we know right away as the audience, there's something untrustworthy there. We can easily reject these characters. The abuse is visible and it is clear. Our allegiances with the victim are intuitive. But in real life, statistically, we know that depiction is incredibly uncommon. Abusers often do not show their true colors, even after we might have known them for years. Abuse is multifaceted and hidden in these situations. It is easy to find ways to make excuses for what we're hearing when that person comes forward. Well, they probably didn't mean it that way, and maybe they're that way because they were hurt before, or it was an accident, they couldn't have intended it, and well, their partner and kids, they're kind of dramatic, hyperbolic people. Yeah. We embrace these narratives because it's easier than the reality. the cognitive dissonance of the relationships with people we have often admired. But did you see their holiday pictures on Instagram? I mean, they're like a legit happy family, right? And we might struggle to reconcile that someone so kind and funny and considerate could also be capable of cruelty. We ask ourselves how the friend who helped us move, volunteers every week at church, and brings up the best questions during the book club could also be abusive. These dichotomies don't compute. So we categorize them as things we don't have to believe, and therefore can dismiss. One of the greatest myths that many survivors have to contend with is this dismissal of the myriad of forms of abuse they experience. Community members often will ask reactively, if the violence isn't visible in a black eye, then does it really count? Must we absolutely believe them if there aren't hospital visits, police calls, or photographic evidence? Domestic violence, and I emphasize violence because often these experiences are misunderstood as less harmful or less dangerous if they are not in that physical manifestation. But everything from financial to spiritual to psychological, relational harm is often intentionally done because it is untraceable. Punching the wall or floor next to you is not less dangerous than if they had hit your body. Not being able to access funds to walk away is no less controlling than being physically restrained. But what these tools of violence uniquely come with is a lack of evidence that could provide the proof that is needed to retain that safety. Years ago, I was seated on a plane next to a woman, and we were all standing up in our seats and waiting for the line to move out of the plane, and she burst into tears. And myself and two other people around her reached out and said, are you okay? What's going on? And she was coming back to Florida. She was living in Central Florida. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was about 10 years ago. And she said that she was there to pick up her grandchildren because her son-in-law had murdered her daughter. They lived in a beautiful, affluent area in Ormond Beach, Florida. Remember that too. And she said she was so overwhelmed and confused because there had been no evidence, no reports even between mother and daughter that physical violence had existed, but there was terror and there were constant fights and she was afraid, but she thought if it hadn't reached that level, she was safe. And now she would have to raise those children wrestling with what she missed. Many survivors also find spiritual deficits in the messages they receive from their faith communities and leaders. They might be told that their abuse doesn't count for an annulment, or that with fierce prayers, things can change. Or that it would not be God's will for them to break apart their homes. Many abusers use these same messages to hide and affirm their right to coercive control. I also think it's really interesting that in the world's faiths, though, we can find these stories of divine beings who do fight for the rights of those harmed and have even experienced it as a deity. Urzuli Dantor is a powerful voodoo goddess who protects those harmed in interpersonal violence. Inanna, a Mesopotamian goddess, and the Irish goddess Ain both revenge their own assaults and then help others who pray to them to seek justice as well. I also think about many of us grew up with Greek mythology and Demeter trying to save her daughter Persephone, and how often that story is twisted as well. As Unitarian Universalists, we can look to our own values to see how pertinent this topic is to our beliefs. We are a space many seek out, having found little or no spiritual guidance and care, and not wanting to experience re-victimization. Betrayed by the theologies that many of us have grown up with, we find hope in traditions like ours that value social justice and personal justice. To do so effectively, though, we must be prepared to respond, offering resources that include answers to the hardest question, which is, where is God in all of this? But a congregation that intentionally rejects gaslighting and the minimization of harm is one that so many people are hungry for. We look to our first three principles as you use to see exactly how this correlates. Number one, we believe that the inherent worth and dignity is within every person. Number two, that justice, equity, and compassion should be part of all human relations. And third, we believe in the acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth within our congregations. I wanted to share some images. You might remember from my last sermon, I love Google Images and what algorithms tell us about what society thinks when we picture anything. Last time it was God. This time, when you put in domestic violence, here are some common pictures that come up. And even where I live, there's a billboard for a crisis center right next to my house, and it's very interesting. It's very similar to these, right? It goes back to those media messages. There is always a female victim. We don't see victims of other gender identities or expressions, male perpetrator. The violence is, again, very clear-cut and very obvious. It's easy to take that stance of supporting the victim, but the reality is so often different. Can we see the next image? This is a picture that was taken a few months before the father in this image brutally killed both of his daughters and wife. And this was on their social media, and this was the face that their community knew. Smiling, happy people, embracing, looking pretty safe and well. But what was hidden underneath that was so much more. And it's important that we are conscious of this and our own internal bias that we have around these topics. Next slide. But I don't want to just leave you with this heaviness. Again, it's a lot. I want to leave us with messages of hope. What can we do? What are actionable steps we can take? Number one, we address our conscious and unconscious bias around what domestic violence and both survivors and perpetrators of harm look like. While we see images come up when we look for these visual representations, we know that we can counteract that with a deeper understanding, making sure that our depictions in our mind of who can be coming forward are intersectional and include all of the different kinds of aspects of harm that can be done. Number two, we need to talk about these topics openly and often. And again, I know that's hard, but survivors are listening all the time. We see when people post that they don't believe a survivor coming forward in the media, or we observe who is vocal and pushing back against victim blaming. We only trust our story with those who have shown that they are safe to hold it. We must also ensure that intimate partner violence is infused into all of our youth programs and into premarital counseling. Third, we must provide long-term support. Most survivors, sadly, will not experience justice within the judicial system. Many will go back and forth with lawsuits for decades. People often only think of providing support to initially leave. If they share children with their abuser, even when the children report abuse themselves, many times they will continue within the family court system, oftentimes running them bills into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, trying to secure their safety And statistics show they are even more likely to lose custody if they report the abuse than to gain it. There are rarely support services, even within our communities, our crisis centers, for these realities. Oftentimes, again, it is only for the immediate leaving aspect, not for what needs to be sustained. There are no nationally available funds or support for family court. They can also be countersued for defamation because they speak up. But faith communities have the ability to step in and fill in these gaps. We can do that. Fourth, we must understand the systemic issues that create these problems and look for tools towards atonement and healing, advocating for restorative options that ensure physical and emotional safety while providing amplification for the voices of survivors and therapeutic interventions so that those who have caused harm are held accountable and don't continue to enact that. Lastly, we as individuals and as a community must become places where all survivors know they can immediately go for support. Faith communities can be the first place that people go for counseling, spiritual support, financial guidance, the ability to find recommended resources and trauma-informed lawyers and mediators. And yet currently, we often are not. But this can change. I leave you with this thought, that together we can shift this paradigm and support those who need us the most. We can be present during the dark night that this living nightmare can so often be, prioritizing that every cry is heard and that each survivor needs wholehearted support. Thank you. We'll now have our closing hymn.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our hymn number 162, Gonna Lay Down My Sword and Shield.
So our benediction today comes from a group exercise I did in my seminary class this past August. I was tasked with covering Genesis and Judges 19, which both are extreme stories of interpersonal violence in the Torah. And so I closed that discussion by asking everyone who was present to share something that they wish for all survivors. And this is what they said, shared with permission. May all survivors Speak up and speak out. Be a witness. Be healed in body, spirit, and mind. Find love stir within the heart to heal the wounds that lie invisible. See justice. Find what they need. Survive and thrive. Our call to action today is that we may leave this place as advocates for those crying out but who are silenced, those visible but erased, and all who have yet to be seen, heard, and loved. May they find that experience in our presence.
Please say these words with me as we extinguish this flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I do.